Pugh. Pugh! That'll do it! That will do it! Pugh for Bournemouth! The roof of the Gold Sands is raised! Everyone here knows what that could mean to this football.
Happy Tuesday, AFC Bournemouth fans. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Back of the Net. And this is the pre-match free-for-all. Tomorrow, AFC Bournemouth travel to Birmingham City in a match which could see us extend our unbeaten run after picking up a point on the opening day of the season against West Brom, followed by Saturday's 3-point gain away at Nottingham Forest. This show tonight, it promises to be quite a busy one. There's a lot to discuss. And remember, it's your show and you can get involved, but heads up, if you're sat waiting to come on, I won't be getting you on until at least 20 minutes past 8 tonight because we've got a lot to get through until then. A fair bit of housekeeping. If you are waiting though, or if you want to come on later, I'll give you a bit of homework to do, right? And I want you to come on and give me your best football stat when it comes to Bournemouth or Birmingham City. It can be anything, but I'll give you 20 minutes and I'll start off by asking you a footballing stat. Now, if you're new to the channel, just remember, of course, to do all the usual things. But if you're going tomorrow to the game, put a thumbs up in chat. But on this video itself, remember, you can like it as well. And look, let's set a target of, say, 100 likes if we can. So go. Press the thumbs up button. We'd really appreciate it. What that basically means, it's a free thing to do, but it helps us get seen by more eyes when they're searching on YouTube. Right then, so to get involved, the link can be seen at the top of the screen. Like I say, it's not going to be for at least 20 minutes or so because we've got a chat with a fairly famous Blues fan as well. But there's the link at the top of the screen. It's afcbpodcast.com/take part. Really looking forward to hearing your opinions. We're also looking forward to hearing the opinion of Talksport's Ian Danter. He's a Blues fan. I don't think it's any secret, is it, if you listen to the radio? And he's going to run the rule over the Blues this season in an extended and forthright piece, which gets to the crux of the issues at St Andrews and their two stands at the moment. Plus, of course, we need to talk about our new signing today as well. Yeah, it's going to be a busy show. But firstly, yesterday was Parker's presser. So yeah, Scott Parker, he likes to do his press conferences on a Thursday afternoon, unlike Eddie and JT before, where they did it, first thing on a Friday morning just to get it out of the way. But yesterday he spoke to the media. Firstly, he was asked his thoughts by Neil Perrott about the cactus green kit. And in a gladiator-style tense pause, he kind of went like that. He kind of said, it's all right. He didn't mind it. One person he also doesn't mind is Lee Bowyer as well. They were teammates. They used to play together, and somebody that Parker said he looked up to. He said he's very close with him and has regular conversations with him. Of course, the Birmingham manager now, he's done a great job there, and he says his teams are very well organised. He knows what he's doing, and it's going to be a big challenge. And it certainly will be for Bournemouth tomorrow, as we'll hear later. He talked about David Brooks, of course, as well, and re-emphasised what he said in his post-match conference. He got sent off. It was silly. Parker said he'll learn from that, he'll grow and become stronger. Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. And apparently Brooks has taken it on the chin. Also, Parker said to be very pleased about Philip Billings' comments in an interview with BBC Radio Solent, where he emphasised that he really likes Parker and he's going nowhere. He was very complimentary about Scott Parker, in fact, and Scott Parker, he said that was lovely to hear. So what about the team news then? Well, Ben Pearson and Junior Stanislas, they're in the frame for first team returns in tomorrow's game. Loney Leaf Davis, of course, we know he made an appearance, nearly provided an assist for Dom Solanke, slightly behind him, but he came on to good effect in a position that he's not really used to, but he's going to be available if needed. Of course, Brooks is a confirmed absentee. You silly boy. Also, talking about Steve Cook and Arnaud Danjuma, he gave us the availability of those two. Not just yet. They've trained, but they are going to be out a little longer. So in terms of workloads and where they're at, they're in a little bit of a different situation to, say, the likes of Ben Pearson, who could well be playing. He did go on to say, though, he gave us a little nugget by saying, that's not to say that they won't be involved. He said, we'll see tomorrow whether they'll pull through and whether they'll make the trip. He said, Jack Stacey is similar. I'm not really sure where Jack is at the moment, but he said the nature of football at the moment, it's all last minute decisions, especially with a threadbare squad like we have. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him on the bench tomorrow. He also touched on Lewis Cook as well, saying the midfielder is making a positive comeback from his serious knee injury too. He's doing well. He said he's flying. Well, that's not bad. He's on schedule and right on track. And the new keeper, Nyland, he has travelled to Birmingham City as well. Yeah, we did some quick work on that, didn't we? Right, in 15 minutes, your views. But first, I think we need the view of the opposition. So as I said, stay tuned because we've got the thoughts of Talksport's Ian Danter very shortly. But hey, what about Birmingham City? Of course, we know their manager is Lee Bowyer. He was formerly the manager of Charlton for 3 years, started his playing career there. And he placed Aitor Karanka as manager at the Blues on the 16th of March earlier this year. When he took over, they were in 21st. They finished in 18th. But he started to slowly impress, right? They've done some really good work in the transfer window. They've signed both goalkeeper Sarkic and defender Dion Sanderson from Wolves on long season loans. Other players on loan are forward Chong from Man United. He was injured, but he's back in training. Also, they've got Juan Castillo from Chelsea as well. 3 players also join on free transfers. You've got Aneke from Charlton, Jordan Graham from Gillingham, and Ryan Woods from Stoke City. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting match. Look, I don't think it's going to be a repeat of this 8-0, but it's going to be a tight one. I'd like to think that we've got enough quality, but very shortly we'll be getting your view. So make sure you're filling up the chat. The link is afcbpodcast.com/take part. We'll flash it on your screen very, very shortly. So to chat about the game, I spoke to Talksport's Ian Danter, who wishes that the encouraging signs on the pitch could also be matched by the actions off the pitch. So with me, I have Talksport's Ian Danter here. Ian, how are you doing?
Very good, Sam. Nice to be on the show.
And you're a Blues fan. I don't think it's a trade secret that you support Birmingham City. And look, AFC Bournemouth at St Andrews have got an excellent record. I'm not going to talk about that infamous game. What I am going to talk about is how a lot of Blues fans seem to be a bit more optimistic this season. Is that about right?
Certainly on the pitch, things have been looking up since March when Lee Bowyer came in and won 5 out of the last 8 games, I think it was. So we pulled away from the trouble that we were in, because under Aitor Karanka, we were banging trouble.
Yeah.
And looking without much of a plan. But Lee Bowyer came in. You see players like Lukas Jutkovic recalled to the side, playing with natural wingers. And, you know, hey presto, suddenly we're scoring goals again. Football's a simple game sometimes. And I think that's the simplicity that Lee's tried to bring. He's not tried to overcomplicate what we have. He's utilised the squad very well. He's played some players out of position and they've actually done well for him. I think of Riley McGree, the Australian, playing like a left wing back against Brentford towards the end of the season and did a really good job. So, you know, players will go and play where he wants them to. And, yeah, on the pitch, there's definite signs of improvement. But as your fans will find out on Wednesday, off the pitch, it's an absolute blooming shambles.
Yes, I want to just mention that very briefly, shortly. But look, you start the season, you're playing Sheffield United. They've got a brand new manager, and you're thinking this is going to be a marker of where we're at. And it wasn't a bad start for you, eh?
No, and I was there. I did commentary for Talksport that night at Bramall Lane, strictly neutral, of course.
Of course.
And we didn't have anything like as much possession as Sheffield United did, but they seem to be suffering from the same malaise they were in the Premier League last year, where they just couldn't score and they rarely threatened, even though they had like 3/4 of possession or something like that. And Birmingham, dogged, determined, got the lead. Lovely header from Carlisle, lovely ball in from Bella, and stuck at it. And that's kind of, again, that follows on from what I was saying about Lee Bowyer before. You know, players understanding their roles, understanding what's expected of them, and carrying out those instructions by and large. It's the Championship, so we'll win some, we'll lose some. But at least you get the feeling now with Lee that when we do lose a game, it won't be for the lack of trying. You could certainly have levelled that at Karanka teams that took to the field last season.
Yeah, so you followed it up with a 1-0 win in the EFL Cup against Colchester. A few changes, of course, in that lineup. But then Stoke City was your last match, which was a goalless draw at a stadium that's only got 2 stands. What's going on there?
Yeah, basically the Tilton and Cop stands are structurally unsafe. Bearing in mind that these are stands that are just less than 30 years old, were built in the 90s. And there's a problem with both stands that needs fixing. The club have known about it for at least 8 or 9 months and have done, it would appear, very little about fixing it, to the extent that after the away allocation had been given to Stoke City for that game on Saturday, they realised, whatever, you know, they announced that they couldn't fulfil all season ticket holders, you know, ticket requirements for the game. And so there had to be a ballot. So I think 11,000 season ticket holders or something had to be balloted as to who was going to be allowed to go to watch their team play, because only the away end, the Gilmerick end that your fans will be in on Wednesday, and the old main stand that's been there since 1954 and doesn't have any structural problems, those were the only stands that were open. And they're claiming it'll be the same for Bournemouth on Wednesday, and they're claiming that by the time the next home game against Derby County, I think, comes around, that it'll be at least partially fixed. But I'll take that with a truckload of salt thrown over my left shoulder, if you don't mind.
Yeah, is it? I presume it's causing a lot of friction within Blue supporters, but I suppose that's now being weighed up by the success on the pitch, is it? Or is it still quite a negative atmosphere there?
Well, the divisive chief executive, Xuandong Ren, who created havoc at the club whilst he was there, has gone. One too many mistakes, one too many stupid things done, and he's been relieved of his duties. That, however, is only cutting off one limb of the, you know, of the monster. You know, there's still the most complicated ownership structure that we've ever had. It's hard to know actually who is pulling the strings, where the money is coming from. It's Far Eastern money, but it's really hard, Sam, to pin down the actual percentages of ownership and where you actually look for the majority of the shareholding. You know, it's not a great position to be in, and even though the club has been far more communicative and far more grown up about its communication since Ren was given the heave-ho, a situation like this with the stands has completely undone all the good work that the club had been doing in the close season in terms of that communication. So everything that they'd done that was great and was getting fans back on side, completely ruined by this. Ruined.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. And look, when you look at the fixture list, you're looking at all the different teams, and then up come Bournemouth. What are your immediate thoughts that rush through your head when you see that name?
I'm glad that David Brooks isn't playing.
Yes, yeah.
That's one thing. Yeah, I think back to the 8-0 and the horror of that. When was that? 2014?
Yeah.
Although we did have a man sent off that day. David Edgar went off early, but nevertheless, that was just before Gary Rowett came in. And funnily enough, that horrible day kind of ushered in an era of good stability under Gary Rowett, which of course came to an abrupt end when this ownership group brought in a couple of extra people to the board who decided that they wanted to go and get Gianfranco Zola's autograph and ditch Gary Rowett. I do remember going down to Bournemouth as well on an Easter Monday when we lost 4-2 in the end, but we were 2-1 up
You were 2-0 up, yeah, and I remember that day well, and we were chasing the title, chasing promotion at that point in time, and thankfully we pulled it back just before half time and then went on to win it.
You have a good record against us lately, and I say lately, of course, you've had a number of seasons where you haven't had to worry about the likes of us being in the Premier League. I mean, that 8-0 still sticks in the craw, and that will be amongst everybody's thoughts on Saturday, because that's kind of one of the freshest things in the mind when Bournemouth gets brought up. But yeah, no, David Brooks will help because, of course, he's such an important player for you. But even without Brooks, there's still Billing, there's still Solanke, there's still all the talent that you've got. So we're going to have to be as dogged and determined as we have been against the likes of Stoke and Sheffield United at the start of the season, and try and stifle what you do, because you've got far more creative talent than we have. That's not to say we've got none. It's just we've got nowhere near as much as you have in different departments.
So, just before we finish, then, who's your one to watch for Birmingham City, and also have you got a prediction for the match itself?
Well, Lukas Jutkiewicz was brought back in, as I mentioned, by Lee Bowyer, and there's very few better target men in the Championship. You think of Kiefer Moore at Cardiff, maybe one or two others, but Jutkiewicz is up there. He scored over 50 goals for the club, which not many people have done. Certainly not in recent times. So he's much loved by the fans. And when you've got players like Bella and others on the wings, like Jordan Graham, who's coming from Gillingham.
Yeah.
It depends on whether he starts. He's been sort of quietly ushered in. But the crossing for Jutkiewicz is going to be really important. I think he's one that your centre-halves, Kelly and whoever, will have to be wary of. And elsewhere, well, it's just about that the back foot, the long throw of Mark Roberts. You've got to look out for that, because he's a good solid centre half, but he's got this long throw that under Karanka was no weapon whatsoever. It was about as much use as a chocolate fireguard. Now under Bowyer, it just seems to be much more threatening. It's hard to explain really how the same throw can be so much more effective. But again, that's probably the Jutkiewicz thing. Just having him in the box on those long throws makes defenders think a bit differently, and they mark accordingly. And that can give other Birmingham players a chance where when Karanka had sort of, ignored Jutkiewicz by and large, they now get a chance.
Very much so. So go on then. If you're going to put money on it and go on.
I'll happily take a point against any side that's been a Premier League side of late and got very close to getting back there not 3 months ago. So, as a Birmingham fan, I want a season of mid-table mediocrity. I've had enough of bottom half finishes and flirting with relegation, which we've done far too often in the past 5 or 6 seasons. So, with Bowyer's clever use of the transfer market, loans and frees, we haven't really spent any money. I would be absolutely thrilled with a top half finish would be amazing. So when you come up against teams like yours, yes, it's the Championship, so anything can happen. We could beat you, but I'll happily take a point right now.
Great stuff. Well, Ian, it's fantastic to speak to you. Of course, you can be heard on Talksport, but it's not the only place that you could be heard, right?
No, well, Talksport and Talksport 2 for football commentaries. Also do a bit of work on Planet Rock now and again as a presenter when the 3 usual daytime guys decide to take a break. They tend to ask me. So I've got a bit of breakfast, I think,
nice.
next week from the 23rd, looking after the breakfast show for Paul Anthony. So, yeah, one way or another, you get me on the air somehow.
Good stuff. All right. Well, enjoy the game. If not,
I'm going to be at West Bromwich Albion on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So
doing the West Brom Sheffield United game, so I'll be looking at my video printer as I'm commentating, waiting for the score on the left-hand side to go bold and not the right-hand side.
Well, fingers crossed for you that happens, but for us, of course, we're hoping the opposite. Ian Danter, thanks very much for getting involved.
Thanks, Sam.
Brilliant to hear from Ian Danter from Talksport there then. And just as an update on the team news, as I said, Chong missed Birmingham City's last game against Stoke City with a hamstring injury, but has been training, so could be back in contention. New signing Dion Sanderson has been out due to lack of fitness for championship games, so is unlikely to be involved. Right, we did ask you to wait till 20 past. It's now 20 past. It's time now for your view. And look who the first person is. It's Morgan Scott. You were the first to click afcbpodcast.com/take part. We'll pop the link at the top of the screen so people know exactly what to click to get involved. We're going to be here till 9 o'clock. There's a lot to discuss tonight. But Morgan, firstly, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Sam. Hope you're well too.
Yeah, very good. Look, it's been a fairly positive start to the season for AFC Bournemouth, hasn't it, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. 4 games from 2 matches. I think that's an excellent start. And considering that we grafted with 10 men on Saturday and we had a very tough start with West Brom, which will probably be one of our hardest tests this season, I think it's been excellent. So, yeah, looking forward to it. But it comes thick and fast from now on in.
Yeah, it really does. Hello to everyone that's watching live on the chat. We put your hellos up during that interview because I didn't want to spend too much time saying hello to everyone. But got to say, quick mention to Kerry. You said that Ian, as in Ian Danter, is giving so much info. Great guest. Yeah, you know what he is. He's on Talksport. He's really good when especially when he comes down to Dean Court. He's got good knowledge of our club as well, and he tends to cover it really well. Very complimentary about what it's like down here. So he was a fantastic guest to have on, and we look forward to lauding it up on him when Bournemouth come away with an 8-0. But look, it's not going to be an 8-0 again because Birmingham, they are improved this season, mate, and their first match of the season, you're seeing them play Sheffield United, and look, Sheffield United tipped to go straight back up. So who'd have thought that Birmingham City would come away with a 1-0 win? That was probably the surprise result of the first weekend, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think Birmingham are definitely a lot better what we've seen when we did beat them 8-0 in 2014. So, yeah, definitely I think we will have more quality than them on the day, but you never optimate anything in football because anything can happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, mate, you're David Brooks's biggest fan, but you can't excuse what he did at Nottingham Forest. 2 silly decisions. The second one was terrible, really, because you know he wasn't in a dangerous position and he tugged him back and he saw red. Scott Parker was very forthright about it. Maybe Eddie Howe would have protected the player and not really said anything about it. But Scott Parker, he seems to dish out praise, but also, you know, give players a kick up the backside evenly. Do you like that approach?
Oh, absolutely. I think we have had Eddie's been a great servant of our club, but now it's time for new staff and new gaffer. And I think you just got to tell things how it is sometimes. You know, David Brooks, I haven't seen the first booking, but I did see the pull back. It very silly decision. Looked a bit frustrated. Thought, I'll tug you back. It's a bit childish. And obviously here missed 1 match, but luckily it's not a straight red. It's only 1 match and he'll be back in hopefully for Blackpool on the weekend. So not too disappointed. I'm sure he'll learn from it. Very silly, but it was nice that the boys grafted out that result.
So obviously there's been some news released from the club this afternoon, and you know what, in terms of their transfer dealings, really impressed with the way they do things. It's done really quickly, albeit he's been training with us already, as you can see from the picture. But Bournemouth completed the signing of experienced goalkeeper Ian Nyland, the Norway international, who was a free agent, is penned a 1-year contract at the Vitality Stadium after impressing head coach Scott Parker whilst training with the club for a short period. He played in the top flight in Norway, Germany and England, making more than 240 appearances, as well as being capped 28 times. Now, we all know that this was the keeper, Morgan, that was playing in that infamous Aston Villa v Sheffield United match, which ended in a goalless draw. It shouldn't. Sheffield United could have won that. And you know what? If they had won it, had VAR or the goal line technology been working, we'd be sat in the Premier League. albeit there would have been a season played, so we might have got relegated then. We don't know that. But yeah. Would you believe it? The keeper that was at the centre of football's biggest drama over the last 2 years, and we've gone and signed him on a 1-year deal. Mad.
Oh, absolutely. I thought in his interview he conducted himself quite brilliantly, to be fair. And but he did mention, he said, with my experience, hopefully I can redeem Cherries fans and get them back to the top flight. So he knows the ambition and experience. Hopefully this will do. If we get Freddie Woodman, well, hopefully Travis can get that loan. That ain't to sound disrespectful, but I think most Cherries fans are in agreement he needs to go out on loan, like it did wonders for Rambo. And I think he'll be a good addition to the squad. And obviously, he knows what it's like to get out of this league. He's done it with Norwich as well. So, yeah, really excited. And it's good news. And we might see him feature if he signed in time for tomorrow's match.
Well, that's right. It's going to be interesting to see what he does, because a lot of people have been suggesting that Travers needs experience loaned out at another club. And maybe this is a chance for that now, because obviously with the perceived number one in goal, if that's him, Will Dennis will possibly become the second option, and Travers can go out and get that experience maybe. But obviously, that's one of the positions that's up for debate. And obviously dealing with the absence of Brooks is going to be another conversation starter as well. So if you want to get involved today, guys, there's actually room in the room right now if you want to, which is great to see. So if you go onto your device and then just type in afcbpodcast.com/take part. And once you do that, you'll be taken to a room where you just have to allow your mic and camera, type in your name, press the blue button. Ideally, have it in landscape. And if you're on an iPad, that's exactly the same. If you're on a laptop, it's exactly the same. Same link, afcbpodcast.com/take part. We've got Liam Humby here as well, who's the Cherries legend. Mate, you're king of the AFC Bournemouth merchandise. What have you got on now? Is this a T-shirt?
I have a T-shirt.
Love it. I would look at that. AFCB, look at that. Proudly sporting your team's colours. You've got all three kits as well. Which one are you going to be wearing tomorrow, mate?
Maybe the white one.
Yeah. Now, is that the kit we're actually going to be sporting? I don't even know what.
I have no idea.
No, I mean, usually they put it out there, but I've not heard anything.
Yeah. Well, it might be the red one because they're blue and white.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, very true. And in fact, obviously when we beat them 8-1. 8-0. Sorry, they didn't score a goal. They didn't score a goal. They tried to, but Boric saved the penalty, I think. It's not going to be a repeat of that, though, is it, Liam? But it's a place where we just don't lose.
No.
How are we going to do tomorrow?
2-0 tomorrow.
2-0.
Dom Solanke to score first.
Dom Solanke to score first, mate. That's what I'd like to see. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned Dom, Liam, because he's a player that, to the naked eye might not have done particularly well, because a lot of people just look at the stats of how many goals he scored. But his work rate on Saturday was incredible. And he's that type of player, isn't he? He really is.
And I know it's all about goals and strikers, but his build-up play is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wow. So we're getting some predictions in already. So AFC Bournemouth, Germany is going for a 3-1 win. So he's got the same, 2-goal lead, not 2-0 like you, but he's gone for a 3-1. Look, what are we going to do without David Brooks then, Morgan? Because it's a tricky one, because you're thinking, right, are we going to use some of the youth, or is this a chance to, even a sort of 60% fit Stanislas? Do we need to put him on? Or there have been suggestions that Kyle Taylor could maybe get a run out. What would you be doing if you were Scott Parker, mate?
It's tricky to say, ain't it? Someone said if Adam Smith's going to be back, to play him on the right wing, but he ain't going to be back in. So maybe you got potentially, if Jack States, he's ahead of Junior Stanislas, he could put him there. I know he played there ahead of Brooks before, when Brooks has been taken off. Or actually, you even mentioned Sam Kyle Taylor. I think played when we played a couple of friendlies in Spain. He did play out on the right hand side, so that is an option. Or then if it isn't him, then you're looking at maybe the youth, maybe Ryan Glover, or I think that's maybe the only other option that we have in terms of that position. unless you want to swap Jade and Anthony over, but I don't see why you would do that considering the shortness of the squad. So yeah, it's either going to be Taylor, Junior Stanislas, or Ryan Glover.
2-3 to Bournemouth, says Chris Hubble. Loving your predictions. Liam, do you feel as though the introduction of someone like Ryan Glover or Kyle Taylor could be a bit of a risk, given the fact that we're playing so many youngsters at the moment? You know, would it be bad if we have more youngsters than experienced players?
Yeah, we need some leaders on the pitch.
Absolutely. If you want to get involved tonight, it's afcbpodcast.com/take part. The link, I'm going to put it at the top of the screen if you want to get involved. Go on, Liam.
Do you know anything about Cahill?
Oh, I've heard
I don't know if he's signed or not.
Mate, I don't know, but in my eyes, I mean,
I don't think it's a good idea.
Look, I'd rather have someone like Cameron Carter-Vickers if that was going to happen. But in my eyes, I don't, he is 35. He's got a lot of experience. He's got the physicality. Has he got the pace? Not really sure. But look, he's going to burn a hole in our finances if he was to join. And look, we've already got a central defender in Steve Cook. And I think these rumours sort of expedited the rumours that Steve Cook wants to leave. But, to all intents and purposes, no. And look,
he's a Bournemouth legend. Why would he leave?
And also, Morgan, can we talk about this young lad on the left hand side who's got so much bloody hair, the bastard, with a hairband on? Ibsen Rossi, mate. I mean, what a start he's made to his AFC Bournemouth career, and he's so calm and composed in the media. I think Jacob Tanswell tweeted and said, "What really struck me was how composed he was. He's just played a game in front of over 25,000 fans at Nottingham Forest, a stadium that's steeped in history. He put in an exemplary performance to oversee 2-1 win, barely put a foot wrong, and then he's coming off the pitch and doing an interview like it's just, a regular day in the office for him. I mean, inside he must have been dancing, but on the outside, cool, calm and composed. This guy could be big for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I said a few weeks ago on here that he was either going to thrive under the situation of being back in the stadium, playing under like a crowd of a lot of thousands of people, or it's just going to destroy him. And he's excelled. He was really fantastic. He didn't put a foot wrong. You mentioned Sam, and I think the fact that going forward, he's not. I'm 100% sure he'll start the game tomorrow at Lloyd Kelly. And this isn't to sound disrespectful towards Mepham. I like, although Chris Mepham's had a lot of slatery, I'll back him until it's time for him to go. But he was the fact that he's at maybe 21, 22. It's putting a younger, like a more senior player with Chris Mepham into a position that at right back that I never seen him play. I know we're very, very short, so that might speak volume. It's just fantastic. He's putting people out of positions because that's his spot at the moment, and he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right, we're going to take a short interlude very shortly. But firstly, just want to say, you'll have seen at the end of every video, we've got our Legends Wall. And that's from people who have put their trust in Back of the Net to be able to just put a few pennies towards us every month in order for us to pay for our various fees that we have. Thank you so much for your support. But if you want to get involved, you can go to afcbpodcast.com/coffee, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, because we're doing so many shows these days, including these pre-match free-for-alls, the free-for-alls in person, the second look, and you'll also have seen our away day review as well. And myself and Tom got together and reviewed Nottingham Forest, where we gave it a score of decent, but they certainly had some improvements to make, I've got to say, not least the food and drink side of things, which was absolutely dire. This is Back of the Net. We'll be back in a few moments. So yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button because we certainly want to hear more from fans that are going to subscribe. Because look, it's an open community and anyone can get involved. Steve Hensman is going to be along very, very shortly. But before he does come in, we've got to just give a quick mention. Of course, we've mentioned our new signing already, but earlier he's already given an interview to AFCB TV already. And look, we've got a little bit of background on him. And this is what one of our Villa friends had to say. He said he was signed when we were in the Championship in 2018-19 by Steve Bruce, and he proved to be hit and miss. He tended to flap and he bounced around at corners, but he is a decent shot stopper. The problem he had was that we were chopping and changing keepers like mad, and he was eventually dropped for Jed Steer, who played throughout our playoffs and the end of the season too. Quite interesting to hear what Villa fans have got to say. And look, we'll try to get a little bit from Norwich, albeit he didn't have many performances for Norwich City. I think it's a big fat 0. Right, okay, strap yourself in. Steve Hensman.
Evening, mate.
How are you? Have you mastered the art of seatbelts yet, or what?
I'm comfortably sat on my sofa now, so I don't have to worry about all that sort of thing.
Yeah, mate. Like you turned into a bit of Eiffel 65 or whatever it is. You've gone a bit blue, but
I have
you got some disco
think...
lights going on in your house side. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm trying to put Morgan to shame again, aren't I?
Anyway, it was tremendous to spend an away day with you on Saturday, mate. Had a lovely time. Sorry about the Jaeger bomb experience, but look, we live to fight another day. And good news about tomorrow, I hear.
Yes. Bit of a change of plan, and this beauty.
It arrived. That's what I like to see. Oh, mate. What?
Well, it didn't arrive. It didn't arrive. I had to dispatch Kirk to do a bit of a pickup from the stadium. So many thanks to that man.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't even know where I'm sat. Whereabouts are you sat, mate?
I am sat GML2, row 31, seat 45. I'm sure, to be honest, mate, it won't matter when we're there because everyone will just stand wherever.
Well, you know, that's what you did the other day. Sorry, what row did you say?
Row 31, seat 45.
Oh, I'm row 30. I'm in front of you, but I'm seat 13. So, all sounds a bit of a mess at Birmingham City with 2 stands being repaired. I mean, you know, like if only there was sort of 18 months or so where they could have got these things sorted out, eh?
Exactly. A bit like our ticketing. But I don't know. I was just listening to what Danter was saying a minute ago about that. It's just that's remarkable that the stadium, you know, those 2 stands are having structural problems after only 30 years. I mean, I don't know how much they bounce around, but I'm sure they don't bounce around as much as West Brom, you know, boinging around like they do. But maybe they have got a bit. Although they've not had much to cheer about in the last couple of seasons, have they? To be honest,
mate. This nickname, I think it's going to stick. Steve, your seatbelt Steve. In fact, you know, let's pop our names on screen so it's there. Seatbelt Steve. I'm liking the sound of that already. And by the way, Steve, like a blue shirt with Commodore on it. You're not like a closet Chelsea fan, are you?
No, I don't know. Actually, no. This is going back to the old school computer days. It's nothing to do with Chelsea. There's no Chelsea badge there. Yeah. No need to worry about that.
Okay, good stuff. So yeah, we've got our new keeper in then, mate. And what are you expecting tomorrow? Do you think Travis is going to start, or do you think that this guy's going to get thrown straight in?
I don't know. My head would say keep with Travs, but you've obviously brought him in for a reason. So, and is that to give to then? I mean, people have been saying about maybe Travers might be going out on loan, but. I don't know. There's still the Woodman talk as well. It seems a bit funny. And apparently, is it Nyland? Yeah. He's been around the scenes for a few days now, so it's not like he's just come in today.
No, that's
right.
Which
I find remarkable that nobody's had any say. You know, let anyone know about this. You know, no journos have come up with this or anything. It's just sort of been revealed today.
Yeah, that that really did surprise me too. I've got to say, because he was pictured in his training gear, and he's travelled up with the squad today, and you know it turned from like murmurings of him signing to absolute, definite confirmation within seemingly about 10, 15 minutes or so. It's a bit strange, mate. Your disco lights are properly going off.
Can I sort them out?
Yeah, no problem at all. Well, look, I'm going to.
What it is, I've got one of those TVs with the ambi light on it.
Right, got you. I see.
And it's just changing with the background. So I'll turn that off and just stick the normal light on. How's that?
All right. Well, you know what? We'll say a little bit more about what a Villa fan had to say about Nyland as well, because he was dropped as soon as Dean Smith arrived at Aston Villa, and it felt like Dean Smith never really trusted him. Villa then signed Tom Heaton for their first season back in the Prem, thus limiting Nyland to cup games. But he played a part in their journey to the League Cup final and showed a fair bit of promise. But when Heaton got injured and the first team spot became available, he still wasn't trusted over Jed Steer. And then they signed Pepe Reina. So Dean Smith just didn't seemingly see him as first team fodder, and he had his contract terminated in 2020, which showed a bit of Villa's ruthless side, I suppose. And he had that stint at Norwich, but didn't really do much there. But he does deserve a spot at number one, according to this fan. But he said, wouldn't be surprised if he ended up our backup keeper under Travers. Interesting thought from a Villa fan there, who's basically saying that he's a born number two.
Well, yeah, I mean, as soon as the news broke, and I was made aware of it on social media and Twitter today, I obviously chatting to the usual folks, and my initial thought was, well, he's always been a backup keeper wherever he's gone. He's only had stints through injury to other keepers around him. They say he's an international keeper for Norway, but I mean, he's 30 years old and he's played, I think it's around 30 games. So it's not as though he's holding that position or held that position down for a long time. I've heard the inklings that he's a great shot stopper. I mean, I think Travs is a great shot stopper. It's the rest of the thing. He says he likes to play out from the back and enjoys that type of football. But what I've heard is that completely the opposite. He's not got the great pair. He's not the best with the ball at his feet. No. So I suppose time will tell. We'll have to see what happens. Hopefully he'll get a run out. Maybe if a game might become a bit too quick for him tomorrow, but Blackpool, maybe we'll see him.
Well, Steve, you know what? I'm entrusting you to do our chosen 11 very shortly, if you've got time. But before I do that, I've got to say, we're going to stop the show because there's a certain legend that needs to come on, right? A certain legend that's going to give us a prediction. And here he is. It's Mr. James Reed. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hi, James.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, mate. How you doing? Are you all right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, then, buddy. How did you feel after our win against Nottingham Forest? Were you happy?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, that's what I like to see. Right, okay. You seemingly get your predictions bang on the money every single time I speak to you, mate. Can I have your prediction for this fixture, please? We're playing Birmingham City. Don't say 8-0. Yeah, we're playing away at St James's. Let me have your thoughts. He's gone for a 2-1. That's what he's saying in on chat. And you know what? That's not a bad scoreline, Steve, is it?
No. That'd be 2 in the trot, though. That will be.
Two. Yeah, James, mate. Unbelievable to have you on. Thank you so much. I appreciate it's brief, but we need to hear from another legend quickly as well before me, Steve, and maybe someone else get into our chosen team. So, James, thanks very much for getting involved. Really appreciate it. Up the cherries in all departments, sir. What a lad. And look, we always encourage you to get involved, whoever you are. And one of the ways we're doing it is by asking for your videos after a game. If you're not going to the ground, of course, we're outside the stadium where you can chat to us, but you can submit them via your phone. And you can do that via Telegram Messenger. I'll pop the details at the bottom of the screen so you've got all the information there. You can also send it via email to fans@afcbpodcast.com, or we transfer it to the same address, or even send it as a video onto our Facebook page. And there's a certain person who did this at the weekend, but he was a little too slow for the second look. And if you ever want to see a crotch that you didn't want to see, here's Filippo.
Hi Sam, hi everybody. Great to see you again
in this new format of the post-match free-for-all. And as you can see, I am not in Rome. I am currently on the beach. I don't know. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, I am on holiday, and I was on the beach as well during the game yesterday, and it was a good first half. Then second half starts with Forest goal, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be difficult for us. It's gonna be. I really thought that it would have been difficult, but then we scored again quickly with Philip Billing, 2-2, amazing, and then the red card for David Brooks, and we were the last half an hour down to 10 men, and it was I was like, okay, we are definitely gonna struggle with all these young players. But then great performance by Chris Mepham, great performance by Gavin Kilkenny, and great performance by Zeno Ibsen-Rossi as well. And it was really a great performance, and we succeed to get all 3 points from the city ground of Nottingham for the first time ever, and so I am enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. The future is bright with all these young players. They show quality in all these three matches against MK Dons in the Carabao Cup, and also season opener against West Brom, and yesterday as well. So the future is bright, but I'd still like to see some players coming back. For example, in the midfield, especially because now with David Brooks, who got a red card, I really don't know who's gonna play on Wednesday at Birmingham City. So, but we'll see, and but by the time, in the meanwhile, sorry, I'm enjoying it. So thanks for eventually having me, and up the Cherries.
Bueno, lovely to have him here. Right, we're going to fill this chat up with people that are just brilliant. Steve Hensman's still here, of course, but another person who's just amazing. There he is. Hello, Marky Masters.
Evening, Steve. Evening, Sam. We all good?
Yeah, very good. Still smiling, mate. Still smiling, as are you, which is good to see.
But can I share this? I'm a bit wound up, chaps. Can I share this?
Go on. For it. Here's my shoulder. Talk to me. Cry on me. Whatever. What? Go on.
Boys and everybody watching, why am I still wound up by that person, on that Watford fan on Twitter that was outside the stadium with his local man thingy? Why did that wind me up on Sunday, Sam? Why?
Well, yeah. When was that? I mean, I don't know if, because all I've seen, I only saw this in the last few days. And yeah, as you say, the local fan is pleased T-shirt. There was a Watford fan outside Dean Court. I don't know whether it was near, like, a long time ago. I don't know whether it was recently. Rent-free, Marky Masters. That
he's doing it. He's blimmin' doing it, Sammy. Why can't I just enjoy things and all that stuff?
I missed this. Is somebody drove down to Dean Court?
Yeah,
with that T-shirt on, just to gloat.
Do you know what I did, Steve? Do you know what I did? And I'm a proud man. I'm gonna open up to you guys as well. Do you know what I did?
Go
on.
I took a screen grab in the hope that Watford get relegated, so I can do that age well. And then I thought, what am I doing? And then I had to delete it.
Here it is. Here is said photo then. It was tweeted by some lad. I don't know what his name is, and he just thought he'd wear the T-shirt. I mean, what does it take?
I bet you'll find he is actually local. Yeah,
I mean, I would hope that he didn't travel from WD18 to BH7.
I mean, that's a sorry state of affairs if he did.
Yeah, no, it really is. And it was a guy called Aaron, I think. I don't know if that was him, but that's who tweeted it. Aaron Bennis. I don't know if he's a Bournemouth fan or what, or it's the actual Watford fan in the first place. But it kind of did wind me up, Marky, but it kind of didn't. I don't know.
Let it go, boys.
Steve will, Sam. It will pass. I'd had a lovely Saturday, and obviously was enjoying the feedback and feeling the flow of what's been happening. But it's these little moments that we get, because this is the nice thing. I've noticed there's this slight, nice, humble nature of all of us on the free for all on Friday. Everyone was in. Who was the chap you were chatting to from Nottingham? There was a chap, the fan, on Friday. What he was talking about, Sam, was the fact that Forest had been in the league for so many years, they kind of appreciate where they are now. And I see that what's happening this season as well. Same with us. I guess last season we all had that sense of entitlement in a way. And I like this start to the season when none of us are getting above our station. Everybody's assessing things in a really kind of good manner. But you underappreciate this place of where we are and the good football that we're playing. There we go. And you're right, we are enjoying it.
But Sam's
loving
right,
the championship.
So, Sam's all right, to be fair, but like all the rest of them. No, but yeah, it's like you're right, Marky. You're right. Steve, are you enjoying the championship so far?
Absolutely loving it, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's
brilliant away
we
days.
said,
yeah,
we said this, didn't we? Towards the end of the Premier League seasons, that getting up on that Saturday, this is going to be a difficult game. How many? What might we shoe in this time? Yeah. And you don't get up on a Saturday like that. I mean, it's great to be back in football, full stop. Let's get that said. But the fact that you go in thinking, well, actually, how many are we going to turn them over by? Or, is it going to be, are we going to scrape a draw? I mean, that's probably the worst case scenario we can come up with at the moment. I don't see us losing to a lot of teams, especially after the West Brom and the Forest games.
No, that's right. There's not that kind of feeling of negativity already before you even wake up when you're playing Man City away or even at home. There are certain 6 teams where it feels like a free hit, whereas we don't have that in this division. And
I mean, it would be great if we could do that to Watford as well.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would be great.
But I'm going to bring him back out a bit later. Now I'm going to make all this. I deleted it. I'm a bigger man, guys. Did I or didn't I? Did I delete his tweet? Is it saved? Is somewhere? Here's the other thing as well. Because we're having a good conversation. All the stuff that's happening. You go on Twitter as well. You see the Sheffield United fans, and they're exactly the same place as we were last season. Yeah. This accepting that the players that they've got on the forward line and everything else, and them kind of self-imploding on one another. And at the minute, there's this quiet calm that's happening with what's going on now, and the people that we're sharing and everything else. We're not okay when we all get found out and the bad things that will inevitably happen this season. There's a really nice start to this season, as we're talking about, is that we're going to these grounds and what we saw on Saturday and hopefully tomorrow night is that we're playing this football that we're enjoying again. And you know what? We enjoyed it, the football at the latter part of last season when we got our momentum back again. But it's a really nice feeling at the minute, and there's good conversations that are happening. No one's having backbiting at one another. There's a real sense of togetherness as we're starting this season, and this is something that we always wanted, and it's shining through with what we're doing, what's happening here as well.
Yeah, and look, Steve, obviously we were at the Forest game. Talk us through some of the performances that made you very proud, or ones that you kind of think, hey, they could start against them. Well, I mean, chances are most of the side are going to start due to the fact that we've got such a threadbare squad. But any standout performances for you at the City Ground?
Yeah, I mean, quite a few actually. I mean, the youngsters, as we've said repeatedly, since they've basically been given the mantle to come in and play. Each and every one of them stepped up to the mark, and they've not let us down in the slightest. I mean, I'm going to look. I always like the defenders because I am a defender myself, but I'm loving Ibsen Rossi. I think he's he's just perfect for us. He's so calm and collected. I mean, this is a sort of coin a Neil Dawson phrase. The biggest sort of compliment you can give him is that we're not really missing the likes of someone like Steve Cook in there. In games like this. You bring in a youngster who's got pretty much zero experience, and he looks like he's been playing there for 10 seasons.
He does. So he's a standout player. I'll let someone else have their say about another standout player. Here he is. Les. Tom Jordan. All right.
Yeah, I'm good, boys. You all right?
Yeah, go on then. Standout performer. Then he's mentioned Ibsen. Who caught your eye at the weekend?
I think, to be fair, Jay-Z deserves a lot of credit. Zamora at left back, because I felt at times in that opening game, he looked a little bit. I thought, I'm not sure if he's ready, but he really stepped up, I thought. And I think him and Anthony down that side, you can see they've played together in the academy, can't you? There's a lot down that side, and I think they were really impressive. So, yeah, I really like what I saw from Jay-Z. I mean, go down to 10 men as well. I thought some of them young lads really stood up. And obviously, we've, as you mentioned earlier, we brought in a keeper today, but I even thought Travers stood up. He kind of claimed a few things that he wasn't on Friday night.
Yeah.
So, it was, to be fair, it was a team performance again. Like we've been alluding to, I think the first 2 games have been just such team performances. No one's really had bad games. So, yeah. But, yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just about to say, the only thing you can say that was negative about that performance really was the Brooks sending off.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not really, I mean, okay, it is to do with his performance, but not really, his actual ball playing performance.
Yeah.
So all good signs, all good signs.
Can I just say this, chaps? Can I just say this? I saw a video with you guys on Saturday. Sam, were you the designated driver?
I was driving up. I didn't drive back because there were a lot of beers consumed and Jaeger bombs. I wouldn't have dared driven back. And also, someone suggested I drove back, but you expect me to drink, drive, and upload a vlog at the same time? I'd be amazing. But no,
How did you get back?
I drove up. No, we travelled as a 4, and I drove up, and Lucy, who was with us as a party of 4, drove us back. So it's Hensman, Tom, myself, and Lucy in the in my little Kia Ceed. We drove up and we got back by about, I don't know, 10:30, 11, I think.
Yeah,
it's nice to share a video with you chaps that drove up there. And also nice to see you still carrying everyone, Sam, even though it was for half of the journey.
Yeah, exactly. And we're doing the same tomorrow. So it's me, Tom, Lucy, and Tiggs is joining us. We're going to meet Steve Hensman there. We are really looking forward to that. So look, guys, have you got 5 minutes to go through our predicted team?
Of course.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it then. Come on. So, yeah, it's time to do our predicted 11 then. And this one's going to be quite interesting given the potential team news. We don't really know who's fit and who's not. There's a lot of kind of half-truths, I think, with certain players, but then probably leaving it last minute just to see if they're okay for certain others. But look, Tom, we've got this new signing. Do you expect him to go and goal straight away, or would that be a bit harsh on Travs?
Yeah, I think that'd be a bit harsh. I think he'll probably be on the bench. I think Travers will start in goal. And I think Steve mentioned it earlier. I think if Nyland's going to start, it'll more likely be on Saturday. But I think Travers will start in goal. I'll be very surprised if he dropped him straight away, because that puts so much pressure on Nyland as well. Imagine if he made an error, suddenly. So and I think Travers played well in the last game. So I expect.
And he's also played for Villa, hasn't he?
Yeah, true. Absolutely hounded, wasn't he, against? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the defence, Steve, this is where it comes into a little bit of conjecture because we don't really know who's going to be back. But they stood up to the task quite well, I thought, the 4 that we had against Forest. And, you look at it and Forest had isolated chances, really. They weren't exactly like peppering us.
No, but the one concern, I was going to say, we've got, they've got a big lump of a striker in Jukovic. And if you've got Kelly, Mepham, and Ibsen Rossi in there, that's a good bunch of height. But we had that on Saturday, and we still conceded from a from a cross into the box, didn't we?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think Jay-Z. Well, no, actually, because Leaf's available now, isn't he?
And he had a good game when he came on, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
I mean, he
out of position as well.
Yeah, and he created that chance for Solanke, didn't he, Tom? I was so willing that to go in. That would just put the icing on the cake. But do you think he can start, Tom?
I think, I think the only I think Jay-Z will definitely stay in at left back.
Okay,
I do. And Lloyd Kelly will definitely be playing left centre back.
Yeah.
I don't think either Stacey or Smith are going to be available. Definitely not Smith. But I think it will be a toss-up between. He'll either stay the same, play Mepham right back and play Rossi centre back, or he'll drop Rossi, play Mepham centre back and bring Leif Davis in at right back.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's left-footed, but he showed that he can come on that right side. It'll be whether he feels that Meps can do that job again. I would kind of go and change, kind of with what Steve said. They normally play a diamond, so they don't play very wide, and they got big strikers who they'll lump it into. Well, it's probably handy having another centre back in there then. So I would go unchanged. It's going to be tough, though. He could do a lot of things.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll put that in. Whilst I'm talking about that, player number 6, Marky, has been Gavin Kilkenny, a player that's barely had any minutes, and then all of a sudden he's put into a side and does really well. He's been really good for us, hasn't he?
Yeah, amazing. And the things we always see is how we can trap a ball as well. We're seeing these flighted balls and how we can hold them. There was a lot was shown in the Chelsea game, but it was also doing that in the West Brom game, and also seeing that as well on Saturday. So as well of being in this privileged place of having this confident young Irish under-21 player who can control that centre midfield role, that number 6 you got there. I think, listen, is blessed to be seeing this. And Matt, there's no way that it makes us all think, then what's going to happen when everyone's back, when Pearson's back? And it's like what we said earlier. You guys were just chatting at the beginning. You don't want to take these players out because based on the heritage and the name of the other players when they're coming back. It'd be such a shame. Well, I know it's going to break at some point, but who are you going to? Are you going to get rid of him if we carry on with this?
I mean, surely Pearson, who's just come back, is not going to start, is he, Steve?
No, I think Scott Parker did. Yeah, it'd definitely be Gav.
Okay.
Scott did say he's probably looking likely like he might be available, Pearson. But I imagine if he is, he'll be on the bench. Certainly not going to come straight in.
Tom, shout out to Philip Billing, who, I don't think I've seen a player who has changed the opinions of Bournemouth fans as drastically as that within a relatively short space of time. You heard
Very
some
guilty.
of the quotes. Yeah, I mean, you heard some of the quotes that a lot of fans were saying, both on here, on the Vitals forums, on Twitter, on Facebook, which is possibly one of the most toxic places you could ever be if you're an AFC Bournemouth fan. If you're on that fans Facebook group, bloody hell, it's awful. But he's been brilliant, hasn't he? He's been really brilliant.
Yeah, I think we've seen over the years players change form, but I think the most notable thing is it looked like a player that didn't want to be here, and now he looks like one of the leading pack, one of the ones that's geering them all on, one of the leaders in the group. So that shows that maybe it just a change of management, a change of style, change of staff helped him, and there was something not going on. I think you just always assume that the player just he don't want to be here, but maybe he wasn't happy with the way he was playing, the way he was being told to play, and now he's been given a new license and he's stood up, hasn't he? So he's one of the first names on the team sheet now for sure. And interesting one. But I think at the moment, if you look at the team that played in the last game, if you took out Kelly, who would be captain, it would probably be Billing at the moment. And that's mad, isn't it? But I know we've got a lot of players out, but it probably would be. And that says a lot. But credit to Billing. He's been sensational and he's obviously going to play, I assume, alongside Mark Ondes.
Yeah, and which way round do they usually go? Is it if I got it
It's
right?
that way, yeah.
Yeah. I always forget which way it is. Right, okay.
Can I just chip in with the Marcondes thing?
Absolutely.
At what point is he going to check his Twitter twice a week? Because all he's going to be getting is people asking for free shirts.
Yeah, I know. I feel for him a bit because he's sort of gone balls deep into social media, and he's got to keep it up now, really, hasn't he?
He can't. That's the thing. He cannot back down. When we've gone 5 losses and whatever on the bounce, what's he going to be doing? He's the new spokesperson. He's the new spokesperson for the club. Yeah. That he's going to be filling in the shoes of the chairman and everybody else, and everyone's going to start getting angry again. At the minute, this is love it with the birthday cakes and everything else. Give him a couple of rubbish games. We can all start asking, can you ask the board where the money's coming from or something? The training ground. We'll be on the training ground by November. We'll
have lost 4 games in a row. Everything's gone to pot. But then he brings up a tweet where he's donated like $2,000 to Uganda, and everyone will be like, "Oh, you're a legend. You're fine." It's going to happen. But you know what? Fair play to him for getting involved. I thought it was one of his lesser performances on Saturday. We've seen some better performances from him, but he, probably will be starting. And then it's the $64 million question, isn't it, really, with regards to what happens with David Brooks's position. Tom?
It's difficult. I think I trying to go with the same system like you have here and trying to think that would you want to mess up the system that served us quite well. So but he hasn't really got a like-for-like replacement. That's the problem. So just a counterpoint, not to put it in, but just a counterpoint would be, could he potentially go to a back five, move Mepham into his natural position and bring Leif Davis into wing-back and play kind of Zamora and Leif Davis as wing-backs, and then have Jane Anthony kind of just off Dom Solanke, kind of a 3-5-2, 5-3-2, whatever. That would put people more in their natural positions. And obviously Leif Davis did come on kind of right wing-back.
And that's what Jacob Tanswell suggested as one of the options, wasn't it? Because he sort of, by the way, we just need to stop there. What a brilliant journalist he's turning out to be. Since he's been starting to cover AFC Bournemouth, some of his articles have been absolutely quality. He's asking all the right questions. It's a feasible replacement to Peter Rutzler's absence from the Athletic, I've got to say. But, because Ahmed Shubal does a cracking job, but it's one of many posts for him. So he doesn't cover AFC Bournemouth probably as much as he'd like to, but Jacob Tanswell's doing so well. And that's one of the articles that he said provided 3 options of how Scott Parker might actually, sort out this issue with Brooks. And, that could be something that he does. I mean, do you think he would, Steve, or do you think he'd stick to the same formation? Do you think tinkering it is the right thing to do?
No, I'm not a great advocate of tinkering around, only when he really needs must. And I guess we are in a bit of a situation where it might be a case of needs must. But Tom makes a good point. And what were the other 2 options he gave, Jacob Tanswell, just out of interest?
Well, one of them was Junior Stanislas, I think.
We'll just keep it the same.
Yeah, keeping it the same, and maybe the other one was like playing Sadie. I can't quite remember.
Do we know if Marcondes can play wide?
I think he has played wide, hasn't he? Yeah, so it could be a Pearson and Marcondes wide. I think
say if Pearson came into the middle with Kilkenny and Billing. I don't know.
At the moment, he's going to want to, like I say, that was a kind of a counterpoint. But I think at the moment he's going to want to not disrupt things. He's going to want to try and keep it as much he can, like he did the weekend. He could have changed system, but instead he put Meps out of position because he thought, I don't want to mess around too much. So he just put Meps in at right back and said, do me a job. So but I think the problem is it's down that right side. If we play Meps at right back again and then have a player in front of him who's not a natural right winger, you're going to have a really problem down that side. That's my only concern. And we haven't written, it all depends on Stanislas, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I reckon he would ideally want to start Stanislas, give him an hour, and then you could go to maybe change the system to a wing backs because we're leading the game. That would be ideal. Yeah. So I'm hoping can we rely on Stanislas? No.
Well, and
the other shout was Carl Taylor
as well. Carl Taylor. Yeah,
that was my other shout. He done well in pre-season, didn't he, Carl Taylor? But
you
can make a shout for loads here, to be honest.
So let's assume it's Stanislas. Which side then? Is it going to be Anthony that's switching, or because they're both
keep Anthony there?
Side? Yeah.
You've got to have that dovetail, the him and Zamora bit.
Yeah, that's faultless at the minute with what's happening on that left-hand side. It's really nice to see. Can I just back what you said about Jacob Tanswell?
Yeah.
He's done so well as well. He's a great source of information. With the Nyland transfer, he was given an opinion in that within a matter of hours. So I'm glad you mentioned him, Sam.
Yeah, he's done really well. Look, Solanke up front, there's no point in debating that. Look, Marky, I've seen you on stage before. I've seen you deliver unbelievable talks. If you were Scott Parker, how would you be approaching this tomorrow?
Well, I'm very glad you asked that, Sam.
Oh, yeah.
On the coach up, we'd have a little bit of Vinnie Jones's Soccer Hard Men. We'll have that. We're going to bring out the Lee Bowyer stuff, aren't we? We're going to start getting that as well, aren't we? Pinning that on the wall with all the ding-dongs at Newcastle and everything else. In all seriousness, listen, I see he's this calm and collected individual. He's got everyone playing together, and there's this spirit that we are all seeing on the other side as well. Listen, more of the same, and we see, but watching the first Birmingham game, I was watching that. They were on telly? I remember watching that. But yeah, as we mentioned about strength up front, and Hogan scored when we played them last season as well. So they're not that dangerous up front. But do you know what? Whatever he will say to the chaps tomorrow evening will be just what we need to get us back in a good place again for Saturday afternoon. That's what you want to hear, don't you? Just want to hear something positive, eh?
Beautiful. Just like you, Marky. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, buddy. Oh, prediction. Go on then. Give us a prediction before you go.
I'm going to bloody go all in, everyone. I'm going to go Neil Freed to Bournemouth on that coach back up. There was what we go, everyone. Steve, go on, Sam, have a lovely evening. And listen, enjoy tomorrow's game. Have a good night tomorrow.
Cheers, Marky.
Thanks very much, Marky. Appreciate it. We had someone comment on the vlog earlier saying, Sam, brilliant work with the vlogs. And we've had a few comments that sort of suggest they're brilliant, and we've had the odd comment that says, "Oh, you know what? I find it a bit cringy," which I get completely, because they kind of are, Steve, aren't they? But it's quite nice to cover it for people who can't get to the ground to actually see what it's like. I'm very careful not to be standing there like this or holding the camera in front of my face, because that's not me. Try to be discreet. I try not to get too many other fans in unless it's a generic pulled out shot where a lot of people are there. I don't want to be focusing on people, but it's nice to show what it's like, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it does get a bit annoying with you buzzing around with your camera.
That's where
ignore me. I'm not filming. No, but you're right. It's nice to get it. There's a lot of a lot of people that can't see the games. Would never have even had an experience of an away day, and that's what you're bringing them. And I think it's it's a much needed thing, mate. Personally, for many fans across the globe.
Look at that. Tom turns it into a comedy. He's such a funny guy. Getting selfies, mate. You're a comedian. Is there anything you can't actually do?
No comment on that. But no, I think what's good about it though is the fact that you've got this camera you've got, which obviously you've shown is so good that you don't even know. But that's what people don't realise. I don't even know that you're blooming recording me. I watch it on the vlog and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And you know what? I'm like holding it like that. So I'm just watching the game and I'm getting involved in, what's happening. I'm not sort of having to view stuff. So I don't feel like I'm recording. So it doesn't feel like a sort of chore, but and also we've got to be bloody careful what we film as well, because there are EFL rulings and there are channels that have been blacklisted and stuff because of this. Can't be like too focused in on the action. So we're trying to, it's so complicated. So we're trying to get the right mix, and I hope you at home are enjoying it. And look, a few people are saying it's brilliant. You can just cut Steve out, said Rich Neal. Brilliant. the vlogs are brilliant. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I will be doing the vlogging. Before you go, Steve, firstly, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Anytime.
Hopefully you'll be getting to Birmingham on time. I mean, I know it might take a while to strap yourself into your van, mate, but I think
I've got that sussed, mate. That one, I can do my own car. It's other people's car I struggle with.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that at the time.
No, nor did I.
I was trying to concentrate on talking to Sam and didn't realise I had 2 anchor points down there, and I didn't know which one I was bloody putting it in.
I love it. Yeah, well, exactly. You didn't know.
I'll be there. I'll be aiming to get there about 4:30ish, something like that.
Yeah, we'll be there ASAP. And look, in terms of the pubs, look, I'm not going out for like mad drinking or anything, because you know what, like people.
I've told Tom already. It's only one Jaeger bomb tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, only the one. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. That's all good. However, the Cricketers seems to be the place where a lot of Cherries fans are going to be going tomorrow. And look, it's a 9-minute walk to St Andrews. There it is at the bottom of your screen. It's friendly with away fans. The Cricketers Arms, that's where it is in relation to St Andrews. So if you want to get involved and have a drink, that's where we will likely be. So looking forward to seeing you there. And Steve, looking forward to seeing you there, sir.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun. Glad I'm going now.
Prediction?
Oh, it's going to be a trick. I'd be happy with a draw, but a score draw. I'm kind of edging to a 1-1, but with my positive hat on, I'm going to go for a 2-1, same as who was it? He said 2-1. It was James, wasn't it?
Yeah, James Reed. Yeah, James Reed, the legends. Yeah, so yeah,
I think we will sneak it.
I hope so. That would be nice. Steve, thanks very much.
No worries, buddy. See you later. Cheers, Tom.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much, Tom.
Yeah.
Do you fancy some golf tomorrow? I mean, not playing, but watching it.
Yeah, go on then. Something to do before the away day starts, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's going to be a busy old day tomorrow, isn't it? So I'm picking you up at 9 o'clock-ish or something.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go off to the Dorset Golf Resort. And look, the donations that we've had so far, I'm actually like overwhelmed with how much we've made and are about to make, because there's been a lot of offline donations as well. We've probably done about 2,600 or so. on our Just Giving page, which I think is absolutely superb. However, there's about $2,500 in offline donations that have been made as well. So it's going to go over $5,000 raising money for Melanoma Focus, which we are so proud of, because Brian O'Donnell and his family, well, you know, they will be so proud. If you're a company and you want to sponsor a hole, you can still do so. There have been more that have been taken up. This is an old graphic, but if you're an individual or a company and you want people like Harry Redknapp, Tony Pulis, Matt Latiz, etc., to be holding your company's name, use it in your marketing material, whatever, email us, fans@afcbpodcast.com. Honestly, you're like, with Back of the Net, Tom, we didn't really know kind of what to expect with our fundraisers. We did sort of 2.5 for Forest Home last year. We've now doubled it. You're setting a precedent now. Like, what are we going for, the Big 10 next year? Honestly,
it's man, it's great. It shows the support we get, don't they? Not only on this channel and stuff, but just the Bournemouth fan base, don't they? It's brilliant. You see so many things, don't you, online that are just so nice, heartwarming stuff from the Bournemouth fans. So I'd much rather that than be at a big club where there's fans everywhere, but you don't have that family spirit. And we always have that here. That's why I love the club and love the fans, most of them anyway.
Including Lucas Roscoe. Thank you so much for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Super chats go towards the channel. Really appreciate it. And look, we'll be vlogging the golf day. We will be vlogging Birmingham City away, and then we'll try to get it on as soon as possible. It's been a pleasure on this free for all. Thanks so much for still subscribing to Back of the Net. Really appreciate it. Look, you can like us as well. Like the video. We did target 100 likes. Maybe this time tomorrow we'll be on it. But Tom, thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Up the cherries. See you in the next one.